There is a problem with modern society. It contains so much artificial material that we have become prisoners to it. The garbage of an industrialized nation stamped with so many different signs and prints. It piles up, multiplies, and accumulates itself in the gutters of our brains. To begin to reject simulation is a positive and healthy process, but to be seduced by it, fooled into a dark reality is a very real possibility. Totally separate from the universal mind. Compassion is lost when the individual has become programmed by simulation. When the simulation tells this lost soul to destroy that which is false, there is no way the outcome can be positive. The primary example of this simulation, or simulacrum, which presuppose authority with the use of images, is organized religion. It can be said that a figure like Jesus Christ did in fact exist when one considers the massive religion built around the individual. It can be said that he was born, a person who opposed violence, and was executed for his beliefs. All devout Christians believe that Jesus possessed supernatural powers that enabled him to perform miracles like resurrection of the dead, transmutation of substances, and walking on water. But to accept these ideas as truth requires that the individual place their belief in the testimony of the other, second-hand information. When one looks upon a portrait of Christ, they will inevitably see a fair-haired, Anglo-Saxon male with prominent sharp features. The image we perceive is not the true image of Christ but an artist's interpretation of what the artist thinks Christ looked like. When one reaches this conclusion, it is hard to deny that the image, the simulation, reveals itself. Behind the image lies another image, another interpretation. The only revelation the image reveals is that there is nothing behind the mask. The truth that is revealed in these images is that there is no truth. Todd Rillard describes this world of simulation as the generation by models of a real without origin or reality, a hyperreal gene. Todd Rillard, The Precession of Simulacra, 20. Examples of this concept can be seen in many different places. Popular media and politics in the 20th century are strife with simulation. Movies, computer programs and televised wars have become a staple of life for most people in the Western Hemisphere. In today's culture, the artifice in everyday life is virtually palpable. Todd Rillard compares reality to the map of a great empire's territory. The map of the empire becomes so descriptive that it ends up exactly covering the territory, but where the decline of the empire sees this map become frayed and finally ruined. Todd Rillard, 19. The Great Map, the abstraction, the simulation of the territory, presents the frayed edges as the symbol for the decline of the empire. Compared with the simulation prevalent in the modern world, Todd Rillard suggests that the map, which was once only a representation of a true substance, has replicated that substance so many times that the simulation has become the substance itself. Today, we cannot use abstraction in the sense that true reality can be separated from a representation of itself. That is to say that you cannot separate the territory from its representation in the map. What then is left for reality and truth? If the simulation, or map, now contains the essence of the territory, then the frayed edges which once symbolized the decline of the empire today represent the outskirts of our current simulation. It is the real, and not the map, whose vestiges subsist here and there, the desert of the real itself. Todd Rillard, 20. What is meant by this is that real truth and meaning cannot be found when one only ever encounters simulation. The individual who is aware of the presence of simulation and can separate themselves from it, in a sense becomes free from it. It is in the desert of the real that one finds themselves in a position to reject simulation in order to derive at a greater truth. Laurie and Andy Wachowski's movie, The Matrix 1999, presents a futuristic world in which two distinct realities coexist on the planet at the same time. The two separate realities in the Matrix are meant to represent the duality between what is perceived as truth in our society in the form of simulation, and what can truly be said is real. The truth that behind the facade of the Matrix lies a reality devoid of any life, reflects almost literally what Todd Rillard said of the falsity of signs and images, that it is dangerous to unmask images, since they dissimulate the fact that there is nothing behind them. Todd Rillard, 23. The main character in the Matrix is Neo. He also has two distinct identities which neatly correspond with the two realities he is subjected to. In his day-to-day life he is Thomas A. Henderson, program writer for a respectable software company, Wachowski, The Matrix. Away from work, Neo works in a subversive direction against the system as a computer hacker who is guilty of virtually every computer crime. We have a law for Wachowski, The Matrix. The duality in Neo to rely on the system while at the same time working at least subconsciously to disrupt it suggests that there is an innate desire in the human to reject that which is simulation, in order to unveil what lies beneath. The suggestion is that everyone can intuitively detect the omnipresence of simulacra even if they are not aware it is simulacrum. You've felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. Wachowski, The Matrix. Neo is eventually freed from the confines of the Matrix, at which point he and his friends also free come to be regarded by the authorities as a terrorist organization, working to destroy the power structure of the simulation. At the turn of the 20th century, the immense popularity of the Matrix injected these themes of false reality into mainstream modern culture like never before. There is a definite sense that the young generation especially, is sensitive to the effects of simulacrum whether they fully know it or not. It is the youth that have embraced the Matrix, and keep it alive today by way of internet websites and fan forums. The main attractions of the movie for young people are undeniably the ultra-violent, high-tech, stylized combat sequences. In order for Neo to free the minds of the people still imprisoned by the simulacrum, he must actually kill real people inside the simulation. Neo, having successfully detached himself from the virtual simulation like Plato, leaves the Cave of Shadows and gains the knowledge that the Matrix is only a reflection of a reality that no longer exists, the desert of the real. Neo, while free, is destined to plug into the Matrix once again in order to reveal the truth about it to everyone else. Neo must confront the archetypical power structures that stand in his way and prevent him from delivering the truth to the larger populace. Neo temporarily struggles with the problem that the structures he has to overcome are most often real-life security guards, and policemen performing their usual role unaware they are living in a dream world. What influence this attitude has over young people is difficult to say. One could look to the Columbine High School shooting, which occurred in the same year as the movie's theatrical release. To teenagers, Harris and Klebold, fans of The Matrix, were members to an extracurricular gang referred to as the Trenchcoat Mafia. It is possible that the themes of rejection of simulacra present in the Matrix so impressed the minds of these two teenagers that, in conjunction with bullies that oppressed them, and being saturated on a daily basis with simulacrum, they somehow willingly detached themselves completely from our commonly perceived reality. Before they attacked the school, the two boys designed their own mock-up of the school so they could practice their strategy of attack. The model consisted of a computer game named Doom 2, which modified from its original game parameters became a simulation of their school. They in essence created their own simulation that represented the original simulation they intended to destroy. From the killer's point of view, they may have simply been out for revenge against those who had humiliated them and oppressed them, while possibly unknown to Harris and Klebold. Enacting their revenge also created a symbolic rebellion against a system of control that held no meaning or truth for them. This event clearly indicates the destructive potential of simulacrum. When a person disconnects themselves from reality, the individual such as can be seen with Harris and Klebold, the other ceases to be human. They become a thing that can easily be destroyed and overcome. This is the danger of simulation. Jean Baudrillard in The Precession of Simulacra contends that the modern world's view of reality is false, that what we perceive as truth in our everyday lives by the way of symbols and representative images is simulation, a mask in place of another image that holds no truth. Similarly, in the movie The Matrix, the themes of rejection of false reality are explored to a great extent. By overcoming simulation, one is able to free themselves from the confines of it. The danger that simulation presents to the modern world is that it has the potential to influence our desires and impulses. Simulation makes the human lose all emotional connections with the other, the object. At its worst, it turns us into droids, incapable of human emotion.